Hi, thanks for stopping by today. I want to talk to you today a little bit about how I stay organized. I work on many things all at the same time. And by many things, I mean not just things at different stages, but several projects always at the same stage. And there's got to be some rhyme to the reason and some organization to keep me organized so that I don't start putting this pattern's pieces on this pattern's papers. It can get really complicated and very confusing, but I found a system that lets me stay organized. And once I get it done and set up, I don't have to worry about it. I make sure that things are labeled on each piece, and you'll see what I'm talking about because it makes a difference as to how well I can progress through things. Sometimes I only have 10 to 15 minutes at a time to sew. But if I can utilize that 10 to 15 minutes to its optimum efficiency, then I can do that. And I can take everything that I need to do in small bits and pieces. But there's a method to this. It took me a while to really kind of think it through and go through some trials and errors, and maybe more trials and errors than successes. But it's a system that works for me, and I'm happy to share it with you. Many of my students have incorporated this into their daily routine, and they have told me many times that it has saved their bacon, so to speak, because while it might seem to be quite OCD to make sure that you've got things labeled and organized from point A to point B and C and D, all along the line, it makes it so that if you step away from something and you come back to it, you always know where you're at. And if you move around a room with one tray, and I'll show you what those are. With one tray, it always you always know where you are inside of that tray. Um, there are other things that I do, and we'll go through those as we talk about how I stay organized. So let's head over to the work table, and I'll show you what I'm talking about because I think it's pretty exciting. So here, what you see is the beginning of my tray system, and I have what you can't see is that there's one, here's a second, and a third, and a fourth tray, and they're all stacked up on top of each other. Now, what I do is I organize everything that goes into that unit. And this one doesn't have it, but I'll show you what the other one is. I know that when I come back to this project, I have I have gotten so far in this. I will be sewing section 9 onto this piece because it's already been section 8 has been sewn on, it's been pressed open, and it's been trimmed. And if I leave it like that, I know exactly where to start. And this is the piece that's going to be sewn on next to it. So when I'm ready, all I have to do is put a piece of each one of these fabrics underneath each one of these pieces, take it to my machine, and sew it. And if that's all I have time to do, then that tray has reached its conclusion for the amount of time that I can do it. And then I can pick the tray up with all the things on it, and I can take it over to the ironing board. I can press it open. And if that's all the time I have to do, then that tray is complete. And I know where I'm at in that particular tray. The next tray is I'm starting to work on my, um, oh, what is it called? It's the seasonal table runner. In that particular pattern, there are three units. There is a B unit and a C unit and an A unit. Now, on each one of these trays, I have the sewing papers, and I have the fabrics cut to the point where I can stack them and leave them in the tray. These are the background pieces right here. So I know that I have to have, there are 10 pages. I need to have 10 layers of fabric under one of these. And when I'm ready to start sewing, I will continue the subcutting so that, and then stack them in sewing order according to what my instructions say and what my sewing papers are going to tell me. That's for unit A. The same carries through on my unit C. I have my colors. I will have to do some additional subcutting and sorting so that each one of these will have one color underneath it instead of having multiple colors underneath it. I will subcut these papers and then restack so that all of these colors are under this one, and all of that color is under another. All of this color is under another, and so on and so forth, until I get all of my triangles, my flying geese triangles, put in the places that they need to be. And then I have my um, my outer background and my inner background. And again, I need to have 10 layers of this and 10 layers of this because each one of them fulfills one paper. I've got it all organized, and when I get ready, then it's ready and set to go. And then I have my B. There are only two of these B units in here, and I have already done the subcutting, and they're all stacked in order so that you can see that here are the spikes, and here are the spikes that go with these, and here are the background pieces that correlate to the order of these background pieces here. Now, what I'm going to do before I sew is I like to mark my uh, seam allowance lines on here. It helps me, and I go faster and I'm more accurate. The other thing that I always do with these trays is, especially when I'm beginning, I will take out of my booklet the page in reference to what I'm working on so that as I'm doing this, I can learn and refresh my memory. Because if I'm doing this tray is one and the other tray is another, and who knows, I might have two or three other trays which might not have the same pattern underneath them. I need to keep in mind of what I'm doing, and as long as I know where I'm at, and sometimes I'll write the pattern name up here, because if I take this out, I may not at a glance be able to recall immediately where it goes. But if I write in here and put seasonal table runner on here, then I know that it's page 7 of that pattern, and I can slide that back in there. The other thing that I do underneath all of these is I leave under here, I'm pulling this out, and this is the bag that it goes in. So this is, and I label the bag. This says seasonal table runner. Hopefully you can see that without the glare. Seasonal table runner, and this is B units. I will do that so that when I'm done with this and I have this those back bleeding back in here, I know that it's going to go back to the project box so that it's done and it's ready to go for the next one. So that's how I do this. And sometimes I have 4 trays, sometimes I have one, and sometimes I have many more that I don't really want to admit to. But the other beauty of this is that, say for instance, I want to go to a retreat, or I want to go sew at a friend's house. I don't have to repack it all. I can leave it the way it is. I just put an empty tray on top of everything, and I use, oh, I don't know, I might use a scrap 2.5 inch strip or 2 or 3, and I tie it around here and I tie it down shut. You push it down tight, and so that it's tight and it's transportable, and you don't have to do anything except take that top tray off and begin sewing, and you're all set up. You know exactly what you've brought, you know exactly what you have, and you know where you're going to start. Um, I think that it's a really great system. And the other thing, the reason is that I have manila folders. I like colored manila folders, but you know, everybody does what they want. But I like to do this. It keeps me organized. It keeps me moving forward in what I need to do in order to stay up and current with what I'm using. So there's a couple other things that I want to point out to you too. And I will include this in the comments below because it's been an extremely helpful tool that my students have come up with. I have one student is an accountant, and she is spot on with all of her organization. And it was very, very impressive when she brought this on a piece of scratch paper to class. And when she was asking me a question, I in turn asked her another question about where she was in her project. Well, then she pulled out a scrap of paper where she had created a graph, and it was all the different steps, and she had been checking them off as she goes through. Well, there were a lot of women that thought it was a really great idea, and how to keep at a glance an understanding of where you are in these beautiful Quiltworks patterns. And so what she did is then she gave me she gave me her scrap of paper. And together, and with all the other students and class, we fine-tuned that into what I call my project tracking uh, paper. And we have the pattern name up here and the units. Some patterns have one or two or three. Some patterns have many more than just what's across here. But across, but then down here are the steps that we take where we set up our instruction book, we separate our papers, and we do our fabric swatches throughout the book. We mark our sewing lines and then our TRP lines because sometimes we mark our papers. This one is not, but a lot of times my ladies will go through and put a highlighter, mark a highlighter on their TRP lines on their papers so that they don't miss them when they go through and have to do it again. That's what I'll do here as well. I just haven't done it yet, but and if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it's a step that was important to the ladies in my classroom. And then there's the cutting and the cutting of the fabric and then the subcutting of the papers, organizing your papers, sewing the units, and all of this until it goes all the way down. And she can mark for each unit as she goes across how her organization is. Now, I built this in an Excel spreadsheet, but I'm going to include it in a PDF and it will be in the file in the comments below. So it's a really good idea that if you click like, then I'll know that you've been here. And if you click subscribe, then you get every notification about um, all of my new content. And this is really an exciting thing for me because the vlog is letting me stay in touch with all of you. And I really, really am enjoying this. I'm also enjoying the comments that come in. And as they do, I promise that I'll do my best to get back to all of you and give you any additional information or just reply back to your comments. It's a great, great thing. Now, the other thing, I'm going to segue into this and I'm going to still come back to my trays. So the projects that I have, the first one is my vintage rose, but under here is my seasonal table runner. Well, I have to tell you that the seasonal table runner has come out of our subscription boxes that are from Quiltworks. There we go. That's my name and stuff up here, but it says quiltworks.com quilt box. And the subscription boxes that Quiltworks is putting together for 2024 are amazing and so awesome. And this pattern, as well as the two that are behind me, this one over this shoulder is called Haystack Cookies, and this one over this shoulder is called Woven Ribbon, or I believe that's right, Woven Ribbon. Um, They are part of the subscription box that Quiltworks puts together. Now, they put together a large subscription box and a small subscription box. And if you say that 5 times fast, you won't be able to say it at all. But they are mailed out, sent out on a quarterly basis. And so far in 2024, we have gone all the way through quarter one. We are ending quarter two, and quarter three is soon to begin. Inside of these boxes are some really amazing things. What you find inside of a small subscription box are both of these, the woven ribbon and the haystack cookies. Those are what we call or what they are called stash busters. And sometimes they come with fabric. They may or may not, but so far they have, and they are awesome. And these are fabrics that I probably wouldn't have chosen for myself, and I'm really tickled to see them. The patterns are fun, they're quick. I can promise you that the haystack cookies I was able to complete in about a day and a half. And it wasn't hard, heavy sewing, but it was quick and it's very simple. It's a lovely little pattern. And if you haven't subscribed to the subscription box, you can purchase that as a downloadable pattern, which is even better. And you do that through quiltworks.com. This woven ribbon over here behind me went together in less than a day. It's extremely fun. It's a very quick and very satisfying finish. It's a small table runner or a small table topper, and I believe that you can also purchase that, or at least will be able to purchase that once second quarter is completed. Um, but it's a lovely little pattern and would be very suitable to add two or three or four together to make a larger quilt, or to just to purchase one or two to have in your home or to give away as gifts. They're a lovely, sweet little pattern. The technique is lovely. In the large subscription box, what you also get are other patterns, which are the seasonal table runner, which is what I am working on right now, which is this colorway, which is tulip pink, and then we have the antique lighthouse. This was quarter one, and this was quarter two. I haven't even begun to pull my fabrics out of my stash to make the antique lighthouse. But since I uh, bought the kit, I can start on this right away. You also, in the large subscription box, get the Tuscan Sunset pattern. And this comes in segments. It's like an installment. And so the first quarter comes with the cover sheet as well as the instruction booklet. And you also get the center medallion, which is this. And this is a center medallion, which is a feathered star, and it includes the instructions and the papers to complete this as the center of this pattern. The second quarter is the next, if I can get this right, it's the next round, which is, this is in mirror, so I can't, I'm looking at this, and it's going to go like this, okay? It's this border that goes around. Now, if all you want to do is make the feathered star, you only have to buy the first quarter. If you want to make the next, the center medallion and the next border, you have to only buy first and second quarter. If you want the next border that goes around it, the third quarter, and the biggest, the end is this part, the corners, because it's all set on point, that's the fourth quarter. The second installment is Grandma's Flower Garden. No, it's not. That is actually, yeah, that is. Let's see. Yes, that is. That's the very set. That's the next one. And it takes it to the next size. So the Tuscan Sunset finishes, get this here, the Tuscan Sunset finishes at 99 inches square. The Feathered Star goes to 16 inches square. Feathered Star is 16 inches square. And the there are four 16-inch squares, excuse me, because there are four sections, okay? And if you think of it in quarters like this and this, then you can see that it is four sections of 16, which makes it 32 inches square, which is awesome if I do the math correctly. And then the next one is Grandma's garden border, which takes it from the 32 inches square to the 57 inches square. And that's how we build those. But it's a great program if you like doing Judy Niemeyer's and you want something that maybe you haven't thought of, or just to be involved in this subscription program. It's fabulous, and it is such a great deal. Um, Judelle has done a lot of work in working with the fabric supply companies as well as the other um, notions that come in it. You get, so far there's been glue, and there's been a purple thing and a spool of thread, and there's other things, and there's also a get to know you booklet where different CIs and certified shops have put in their get to know me and visit us, whether it's online or in person, and it's a really great thing. And on top of all of that, you get um, Quiltster access to Quiltster for a period of time, and it's all relative to a coupon that you get, and then you just add that onto your subscription of Quiltster, and you can I think it's for every quarter you get a 3-month subscription for Quiltster. So if you sign up for the entire year, then that's an entire year of Quiltster access that is included in the cost of what these boxes are. Now, I don't know how many subscription boxes might still be available. You'd have to contact Quiltworks directly at quiltworks.com, and you can also uh, call them directly and ask and see if they have any more available. They might. I do think that they might. But what we also have the word is that very soon the subscriptions are going to open up for the 2025 year. And that is very exciting to me as well, because I think it's a fabulous program and it will give you as much or as little um, involvement in the program and as in the projects as you want. You can order them all as kits, you can order them as pattern only, and you can pick and choose which quarters that you want to sign up for. If all you want is quarter one and quarter four of the small box, that's all you have to pay for. That's all you have to sign up for. If all you want is the first, second, and third of the large box, or even only the first, that's all you have to sign up for so that you can get those pieces in and begin working on them. You can order even the largest subscription box as kits, or you can buy them as papers only and use out of your stash. But it's all a wonderful, wonderful program. And so that is how I stay organized. And I wanted to touch on the subscription boxes. And there's one last thing. I've had lots of interest in where I acquire my trays because I can promise you, I used to do this with cookie sheets. And I would go to every yard sale I could find to buy cookie sheets. And after I had a dozen cookie sheets, I thought, well, this is really heavy. They're very heavy. You put 12 of them in a stack and whatever goes on top of them, and it gets really heavy. Well, I have a friend, a very dear friend, and she's also a student, and she works as an OR nurse, an operating room nurse. And she has some really fabulous things that are she can recycle. Now I know it says, ooh, operating room. Well, I can promise you it's not bad at all. Every surgery has at least one of these trays that come in a sterile package, and there's a liner on the tray, and then all of the things that the surgeon is going to need. And sometimes different trays have different things on them. But when it's all said and done, even if a tray hasn't even been touched, or even if it has to be thrown away. These are not recyclable because they cannot be sterilized because they are plastic. You cannot put them through the machine that will sterilize them again because of the heat, because they come out sterilized and then they are assembled and everything is in a sterile environment and it's wrapped and sealed and it's taken into the operating room that way. Well, when it's all said and done, if there is this packet that has been opened but hasn't been used or touched, it still has to be thrown away. Well, that's an awful lot of plastic going into our landfill. And so she takes them. They're clean. They're beautifully clean, and they are lightweight. And that's what I use now. And so she brings me a stack. And when I say a stack, it's not just a little stack. It's stacks, and it's like 50 or 100 at a time. And my students know that I have them, and so they ask for them. And it's a wonderful way to keep stuff out of our landfills. They are incredibly useful. They're versatile for all things, and that's how I get them, and that's what they are. But if you don't have a friend who works in the OR, then cookie sheets work really good. You don't have to have anything fancy. If what you have is something else at home, then use it and help yourself to be as organized as possible. Stay on top of what you've got and keep everything labeled, because I promise you too that if you happen to drop one or more of these trays together on the floor, you drop them, you're going to want to know what pieces go with which one. And if they're all part of the same pattern, then it's a matter of being able to separate what your pieces are out according to what the print is on the paper, whether it's a B unit or a K unit or an A unit or something, and you can do that, and you can separate them out according to unit numbers. If you have more than one project and it's this project and this project and they're completely different colorways, then that helps you to be able to separate them out and put them back on the tray. But the other part of that is that when you have your bag, and if your bag might, sometimes it happens, sometimes this seasonal table runner bag, it might be in a hurry to get tidied up, and it might end up in the wrong project box. So if you know which projects you're working on and you can't find a bag, as long as it's labeled with what project it belongs to, you can find it easily in a different project bag if you've made that little bit of hurried mistake. I bet you can't guess how I know that. Yeah, I had my steampunk fairy tale showing up in my vintage rose, and that was just little pulling my hair out until I figured out, oh, need to start looking through the other bags of what I've already worked on. But that's my day today on the vlog, and I'm really glad you stopped in. If you have any questions, then just send it to me in the comments. Don't forget to push like so I know that you've been here, and don't forget to push the subscribe button so that you get to see every new bit of content that I load up. But until then, I hope you have a fabulous day, and may your bobbin never be empty. Thanks so much for stopping in. Bye now.